Siguro, Doc, it's 8:28.
Yeah, and
Well,
there are a number of questions I think in the chat.
meron na, no? So guys, if you have questions, please put it in the chat box. Or, since we're opening the floor na, you can also speak. Siguro I'll read the questions first now. Okay, so let's start with Sir Paul. Just my curiosity, Doc. Do you consider photography as a species of fact, uh, usually in a form of statement regarding facts, or something superior than fact, quote unquote, because of its frozen state? Or can you read it ba, Doc?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I just read it out loud para dun sa mga makikinig sa podcast. Pero yan.
Um, Again, no. I think I was telling you earlier before the actual session began, no? An abstract painting can speak more about the truth of something than a realist painting or a photograph, right? So it's not about whether it's an exact representation. Uh, an impressionist or an abstract painting can tell us more about the truth about, let's say, nature or the human being than a realist painting or a realist, call it a realist photograph if there's such a thing. So yeah, so I wouldn't say that photography is superior, because again, it's not photography itself, but but the photographer as a human being doing photography. What is the experience? Photography can be used to deceive, right? Uh, to distort. But is an abstract painting a distortion? No, not in that sense of distortion. As I've said, you look at Picasso and distorted eyes and lips and mouth, but there's something about Picasso that opens up an experience of truth that is better than, let's say, a more precise representation, visual representation. So that would be my answer to that. It's not necessarily superior or inferior. It can be photography or any visual art, sculpture, painting.
So si Miss Tina, the Cordillera Weavers are amazing. So their work closely recently in Museo Cordillera. Hundreds of years since the practice began lang sinimulan yung pag-aaral ng mathematical patterns ng magagandang likha nila. Doc, follow up lang din dito. Kasi for example, the math, the form of math, I mean, the formal aspect of math, it was present in the weaving in itself. And the math is there, even before everyone thought of studying it.
Yeah. That would. So I'm saying hi also to Tina, my former student. Hi Tina, thanks for being here.
Ayan, okay, sige. So,
yeah, may tanong pa si Tina, I think. Ano pa ulit yung saysay ng pagtatago sa sining? Bakit ito mahalaga? No? Yun na nga. Maybe to respond also to what Tony was saying, ano ba yung practical takeaway natin, no? Sa photography, in particular, that the most important thing really is for us to learn how to see. What the most important thing in photography is not the camera, the equipment, but the ability, but the willingness and the readiness to learn anew how to see. Diba? We have this line, having eyes you cannot see, having ears you cannot hear. No? So you can also say you can have the most advanced camera and still you cannot see. No? And to respond to that, ano ba yung halaga ng pagtatago? We see really when we also at the same time recognize the hiddenness of what we see. di ba, you can dissect all you want the human body, and still the human body is a mystery. You can identify every part of the body. You can explain the processes in the brain, in our nerves, in our skeletal system, but none every all of those combined will not amount to knowing everything absolutely about something. It will still remain a mystery, uh, and mystery is about hiddenness, right? So yeah, no, and that's, I think, the the importance of hiddenness. Kaya yun nga, sa photography, it's a play of light and shadow, di ba? Of dark and light, bright and light, hidden and revealed. No? Laro, no? This is the play of these two. No? Hindi pwedeng revelation lang, or of revealing, or putting something out to light. No? It's always the play of light and shadow. No?
So Doc, siguro meron ako na, siguro panggulo lang na question. Let's say, I mean, siguro if you're a teacher in the fine arts, siguro na medyo mas leaning towards postmodernism, let's say. Postmodernism. So in a way, built right into that concept already, or framework, medyo diba? Kasi I'm curious ako na parang kasi when you go to the universities, the colleges, one of the parang major aspect that is being highlighted is the perspectival understanding of yung epistemology itself, na parang for example, in this case, let's say we gave some examples of masters na the art that is kadalasan associated with Western art and visual arts. Sige, music and Beethoven, Mozart. A postmodernist would argue that those are culturally constructed experiences. So when you get thrown into that culture and then you listen to Mozart, like for example, even Filipino ko, Mozart was German ba? Tama ba? So, tama ba? So, Austrian. Nakalimutan ko na. Pero anyway, so even if you're a Filipino and then you listen to Mozart, there is a tendency for you to legitimize or to privilege. Yan yung mga terminologies ng postmodernism, na parang the privilege, the centers, mga ganyan, diba? So parang in a way, for a Filipino that has never been to Austria, let's say, pag sinabing Mozart, may association na siya kagad, magaling na yan, musician na art yan. And that experience of listening to Mozart is, there's already a presupposition. There's already a presupposition that is art, and therefore that privileged understanding of Mozart as art, as something poetic, pero in a way, in this case, poetic in the sense that it's a musical, diba? It's music. It's music. The question would be, for example, for teachers that would sometimes go to that camp that, okay, I understand the phenomenological perspective of this discussion with Dr. Barbaza and Tony, but in the real world, those are all cultural. That probably even the concept of the unraveling could probably be constructed in the sense that for some of the, sabihin natin, Marxist art, sabihin natin, parang they would say that there is nothing else but the material world. Parang when you do art, the value of the art itself is the way how it responds to the social realities. Parang ganun eh. Parang ganun yung line of, diba, yung lengguwahe ng isang sabihin natin ng Marxist, no? So parang how do we, in a way, parang tama ba na irreconcilable siya in a sense that built right into the concept of postmodernism and all this deconstructivist, decentralization of ideas cannot accommodate, or would say, yes, we could accommodate the idea of art as something built right into the unraveling. The unraveling of truth is art. But that is only one of 1,000 ways of looking at it. So, yun yung siguro parang inisip ko, how would we situate this? Especially for a lot of curriculums in curricula in com arts, in fine arts, that what we think of the unraveling in itself, the unraveling in itself is a culturally manufactured, wag naman, culturally founded, or the coherence in that idea is from a certain perspective, a privileged perspective of a Heideggerian phenomenologist. Gulo ko, no? Sorry. Pag sabi sa'yo, Doc, pasensya na. Pinagulo ko yung pinagulo ko. Pero na-curious lang kasi ako pag may mga teacher kasi na ganun eh. Na parang the fact that that they are talking about paintings and Akira Kurosawa and Mozart, Beethoven, or Mona Lisa, these are inculturated truths. Parang ganun yung discussions.
Well, yun na nga. If you're open to the phenomenon, then you will have to look at, let's say, a painting from a non-Western culture. Then you will have to allow it to show itself without imposing Western, ideas or principles, and allow it, to take place. Yun na nga, take it one step at a time. I don't know if you saw my teacher Octopus, yung nanalo ng best documentary sa Oscar, di ba, he filmed an octopus for 1 year. Every day he went diving and filmed this octopus, and he allowed the octopus to show itself on its own terms. Hindi niya pinangunahan, kaya he gained the trust of the octopus. And but that's true, that there's a domination of, let's say, Western rationality and even artistic sensibilities. And so we need to allow the diversity of showing of phenomenon in different cultures, and see what is there, to reveal themselves to us. Yun, there's this film, Das Leben der Anderen, the life of others, or literally, it's about this nuts in Germany now. Artists were under surveillance now by Nazis, and sorry, it's an Eastern yata. Sorry, I've not seen actually the movie. I'm embarrassed to say that, but I've seen the trailer. But the gist is that in the end, he opened himself to the life of the artist. So kahit na ideological siya, and he was assigned to conduct surveillance of these two artists who might be dangerous to the state. Kaka-observe niya ng dalawang artist, na siya mismo nabuksan dun sa buhay ng artist. And that's a beautiful story of someone whose life was changed because he became open to the phenomenon before him. So ganun din nasa art, that we allow ourselves to be open to the many ways by which truth reveals itself, in different cultures, in different languages.
Actually, Doc, na isa sa dun sa mga gusto ko dun sa idea nito is, yun nga, parang, there's a certain, di naman accommodation, there's a certain flexibility in the fact that it aspires for something, but it tries its best not to be fixed, diba? Sabi mo nga kanina, diba? So parang, the coming to be is not, it's a process. It's not necessarily an absolute state. So to be is not an absolute state. To be is a process of being. Because of that, if someone speaks, iniisip ko how to respond din dun sa sarili kong question or sa question ng probably that even my teachers would ask, no? This framework, actually nga, even yung the question of framework, is it really a framework? Parang it's saying na it doesn't endeavor to be a framework. It endeavors itself as a trigger for us to let go. Parang ganun. Parang even the frameworks in our head calls on to, or siguro inspires us to probably the structures that we have made. I mean, the categories in our head.
Yeah. Well, Heidegger some people, Heidegger is considered by some or many as the father of deconstruction. And Derrida was heavily influenced by Heidegger. And we see this word destruction in Being and Time, which Heidegger says it's the loosening of sclerotic tradition. So this deconstruction is not really about destroying, traditions, but it's really loosening, sabi niya, kasi nanigas yung mga konsepto nanigas yung mga frameworks, ginawa na natin absolute, pinapataw lang natin ganyan nang walang pag-iisip, kailangang paluwagin, parang yung muscles natin, pag nanigas na hindi ka makagalaw, so deconstruction really is not about destruction, but allowing the structure to become alive again, from its, sabi nga ni Heidegger, sclerotic tradition, nanigas na tradisyon at buhayin muli. Yun ang gawain ng deconstruction. Yung decentering din ni Derrida, di ba? It's not because there's no center, but it keeps moving. It's not fixed once and for all.
Yan.
So,
magandang pangtapos yun kasi for those that are skeptical about this, even I have friends already that I have friends that I mentioned this show. Yung sinabi ko sa alam mo magkakaroon yan. Sabi Heidegger, wala, ano yan kasi probably ano yan, parang may certain framework na yan na pero ano tayo nasa Pilipinas tayo, yung mga ganon na parang with that conclusion that you made. Kung meron kang babalikan kung sila Foucault, diba sila, I mean, in a way parang he started it all, and yeah, in a way parang they can trace it from him, diba? So yung the way that the decentering, diba, that all of this the talk about the other in a way also. So merong nabanggit dito, Doc, si Sir Simon. Hi, good discussion. I hope you can discuss self-photography or the self-phenomenon. Timothy Chappell has an introductory book on modern Western philosophy entitled Inescapable Self. A selfie now is inescapable in whatever gathering you attend, including Wake for the Dead. So I'm not sure what the question.
Simon, Simon left na. He used to teach with us also sa philosophy department, so he's a good friend. We used to play tennis then. Pero yeah, selfie, you might say is a contemporary phenomenon, pero even before may mga self portraits naman, di ba? Even in paintings, artists would paint themselves. The famous self-portrait of Albrecht Dürer, with which looked like he was Jesus, so hindi naman actually entirely new, maybe it's just, I think Simon is referring to kung minsan nakakainis na, kaya sinabi niya even for the Wake for the Dead, magse-selfie ka sa harap ng kabao. O nga, yung parang wala namang paggalang. But yeah, I think it deserves also some thinking, some reflection. No? Selfie as in a way also new, even though, as I've said, even artists before have done self-portraits. There's something about the selfie siguro that's new, that's worth looking at, the way uh, we understand ourselves and the way we like to portray ourselves to the public, yeah. And also the instant character of the images, no? Baka doon, yun ang parang it's a new thing to think about.
So Doc, before I give you the floor for your closing remarks, yung the class itself, the subject itself, kasi it's a philosophy class. Pag someone outside Ateneo is interested in that, are there accommodations for that, for that class, or enroll ka muna sa Ateneo as a full-time student bago mo makuha yun?
I think most universities naman meron yung tinatawag na audit. So if you're not, you can be part of the class, but not for credit, but for audit. So I think that's possible. No?
Okay, interesting. Kasi I think
not just in Ateneo, but other universities. Yeah.
bihira lang din kasi yung ganitong usapan sa photography. Kadalasan, 'di ba? I'm not trying to trivialize, pero siguro naging tradition na rin in the salon system that kadalasan ng usapan would be the technical side. So yun yung medyo, siguro, I mean, for some of our viewers and listeners, this is a bit new. No? So, pero ito yung mga masarap pag-usapan talaga kasi sa photography. Something na that goes beyond the manifest surface in a sense. Beyond the picture, there is something. So similar to the connection that we made when it comes to paintings. When you look at it, there is a certain experience. So yun, possible na magkaroon ng audit options for this class. I think some of my co-faculties are also interested in this. Ano pag-uusapan doon, Doc? So, do you have any closing remarks for our audiences?
So thank you everyone for being here. No, so I guess what I really wanted to say is, yun nga, sabi ko, photography is not primarily about the camera and the techniques and all of those are important, no. But if you're unable to see without the camera, then we have a problem. So I think we need to challenge ourselves or to learn how to see, without even the camera. We are compelled to take photographs only because we see something. But the seeing part is the most difficult. So I think we can avoid being obsessed about the technicalities and the gadgets, and be astonished by phenomenon happening every day, and everywhere, anywhere you are. The miracles, wonders abound, and in places that you do not even expect. Yeah. Siguro I can close by giving an anecdote. Now, when I was doing my PhD in Munich, we toured a group of Filipinas, and one of them was new in Munich, and she happened to be working for the ambassador. So she was the least educated, I think, among the Filipinas that we toured. So we brought them to museums, and all the others were, established in Munich. They were educated. But guess of the group of Filipinas who returned to the museums again and again, it was the domestic helper. Na walang background sa art, but she would be there kasi libre yung museum sa Sunday, and she would be there standing before paintings the names of artists she never even heard of. But that's not important. No? Later on, she would learn. But the fact is that she was experiencing something powerful in front of her that that made her go back to museums over and over and over again. Yeah. Sabi ko, yung mga iba, kung taga rito na kayo, you're not taking advantage of the fact that libre yung museum every Sunday. Sinasayang nyo naman. But this woman, I won't forget her. No? So, art happens every day. And we need the eyes to see them. And that's, I think, the challenge for us, for those dabbling into photography enthusiasts like myself. So yun lang. I hope hindi sayang ang inyong Saturday evening. Thank you for coming.
Yun, Doc, maraming salamat dun sa 2 oras na iginugo nyo dun sa ating podcast. Thank you again. As I mentioned a while ago, prior to this, I was curious na parang, papay kaya to kasi busy to eh. Tapos, and syempre, photography chismis is parang just starting. So thank you for na pinaunlakan nyo kami. Lalim pinaunlakan.
Salamat din. Salamat. Yeah. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, so with that, maraming salamat. Bye.